Good morning to me, good morning to me. I smell like a monkey, and I look like one too. And I'm not sure if that's how that goes, but I didn't want to call you a monkey. So you have to rhyme you and two. But I think it'd be rude to say that you look like a monkey. And possibly in these times, it could get me canceled. That would just be terrible. Anyways, um, yeah, so my ankle is less swollen. The steroids thing worked. Um, I haven't really checked it out this morning, but I was checking it out last night, and I'm like, it's not completely normal, but it's not a balloon anymore. So I paid a bitter price for it. It's like, well, my aid worker came on a Friday. I started taking steroids on a Saturday, and I was drank like a half a bottle of Pepto-Bismol just to keep the steroids down, or to try to. I don't know if that helped or not, but I was actually taking the steroids, drinking Pepto-Bismol. So, of course, most of you know that that has certain effects on the digestive system that are of an unpleasant nature. Uh, so, anyways, it's always nice to talk about gastrointestinal distress right off the bat. Um, yeah, I tried walking yesterday, and I talked to my uh, aid worker, and she's going to take me for little walks around. Um, it's more like I need someone to I can make a point. It's really tough being self motivated all the time, especially when you're old, sickly, and unmotivated. And I know people don't like when I call myself old because they may be as old as me or they may be older than me. But age is just a number. And you can talk to me after you've had vertebrae removed, ribs removed, spinal reconstruction surgery, tumor, CRPS, murder, father, etc., etc., etc. It makes you old. It's it's like that 68-year-old woman. I'm older than her. I might be 53, but I'm older than her. Her body works better. She has all her teeth at least until the 28th of this month. She's going to lose her first tooth. And yeah, so I don't know why people get hung up on that, but I do that. I say I'm old. And this happened to me like numerous times recently, which is hilarious, where a woman is that I'm talking to is the same age as me. They're like, "You're not old because that's how old I am." It's like, no, 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 you don't understand. Like that 60, life doesn't work that way. It's like with boxers, people think, you know, uh, how can Mike Tyson be over the hill when he's 25 or whatever? It's like because he is. It's just the way it works out. Jersey Joe Walcott reached his prime when Mike Tyson couldn't even keep from getting hit by cut rate boxers. It's just the way it works. Um, Age really is just a number. It depends on how you've lived before you've gotten to be that age, how much stress you've gone through, how much struggle you've gone through, what kind of substances you put in your body, etc., etc. So, yeah. Anyways, I wasn't sure if I was capable of talking this morning. Uh, yeah, I've been like winded, but it might not have anything to do with anything I'm learning because I've actually been reading about my disease for a while, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can get like symptoms like shortness of breath that are not related. They're nonsense symptoms, like the neuropathic pain in my body. It's just noise. So like now I got like shortness of breath as another symptom of this stupid disease because it seems to be progressing. The aid worker was like, "What's that red patch on your stomach?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I know it's like this disease is progressing." And yeah, it's like I got like a rough patch of like red skin on me for some reason on the allodynia affected area of my body. So yeah, this is a fun chat we're having. Yeah. Shit, man. It's this guy. I remembered actually writing to this guy, but this guy made like a 20 to 30 minute benzo video like 2.5 years ago. And he finally got around to like reading my comment or something. I'm like, I know this guy. I don't remember what I wrote him, but I went back and read it. And he was like, you know how I'm unapologetic, generally speaking, about whatever I say or how long it takes me to say it. The guy's like, apologize. And I'm telling him, like, don't apologize, man. Because I didn't say it's annoying, but it's like, man, you're all fucked up. You got to write the bitch. So he's trying to get off his Xanax. And he was having, of course, trouble with his doctor. His doctor's cutting his dose, and his doctor's, of course, from the outside, telling him like, "Oh, you should be fine at this level. You should be fine." Instead of doing what they should do is like listen to the patient and get feedback from the patient. It's actually part of their medical training, but they seem to ignore it when it comes to benzodiazepines, among other things. It's like what you say doesn't matter. It's like when I told that doctor, it's like, well, I took steroids before and it made the swelling go down on my foot. No, steroids are bad, but it made the swelling go down on my foot. They're dangerous. But, you know, I could walk better before and I didn't have a balloon for a foot. No. And then, you know, this other doctor that actually listens to you, and I'm like, I took it before and it worked. And they're like, yes. So there's no hard and fast rules when it comes to the medical community. What, you know, it's a crapshoot as far as who you get, what happens. If you remember, the last person I had that kicked me off of benzos, I'm going to talk to a new psychiatric nurse. I'm not exactly sure why they scheduled the appointment for me. I think I've maybe said something about, well, I can talk to somebody else there. Now, I have to be really careful. I'm thinking about recording it on here for you. It's the 10th. Since I have the other one, you know, I thought it might be interesting. Since I have, you know, my life is very uninteresting. Thought it might be interesting to compare the two performances. You can see how good a liar I am. Or like how I play it. I don't know. Why not? I have to find the time, but they told me it was scheduled for Monday. Yeah. So another thing I have to do is I have to dig out the oldest of my volume stash and start tapping into the older volume stash because I don't know what kind of shelf life it has. And you know, you don't want to be sitting on a stockpile of worthless pills and then find out that yeah, these I seem to be taking a lot of these pills and nothing's happening, because that's really all that happens with old medications is they lose their efficacy. Their efficacy, however you pronounce that word. The shit don't work. So I really got irritated with my sister once because when I had asthma, her son had asthma. At the time, I had no doctor, so it was hard for me to get one of them little inhaler things. And she had some, but she wouldn't give them to me because they were expired. And I'm like, the only thing they're going to do to me if they don't expire, they don't turn into poison. They just lose the ability to do their job when they get too old. What does that sound like? So anyways, she just would drive me crazy, refusing, and you know, that's my family though. Not listening to reason. It's like, do you want me to sign a release form saying I won't sue you if the medication doesn't work or if it turns me into an actual frog and I hop away and get eaten by a giant largemouth bass in the local pond? I mean, what do you want me to do? It's like oh God, my family is just aggravating, huh? I don't even like to think about stuff like that because it's just so stupid. It's like, why are they all so stupid? It's not that they're stupid, it's they're all crazy, man. Crazy as shit. It's like I ordered 2 GoPro cameras for myself off of eBay. The first one I ordered, they dropped the ad, but the user stayed up. I contacted the user. I got no information from them or no feedback because they dropped his ad, but he's still on eBay. And He has 100% feedback. So I buy another GoPro. This time they drop the ad and boot the user off of eBay altogether, and then automatically give me my refund. The other one, I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'll tell them, like, hey, give me my refund. But in the meantime, I got this deal on Amazon where I was able to get a GoPro type thing for $32 because I got 50% off on it. It was already a good deal. So I was like, I'll send that over to my brother, and then he can, you know, like it has a little clip, and you can clip it on your pocket, and you can I can go fishing with him from the comfort of my own home. So 2 days ago, I'm like, I wonder if you got the packet. And they show you that little picture in your email, and then no, there it is sitting on his porch. I don't hear from him. I don't hear from him. I don't hear from him. I'm like, well, I'll call him, but I'm not calling him for that purpose. I was calling him for some other purpose, but I'll, you know, see if he mentions it. It doesn't say a word about it, because it's a gift. So my family might view a gift as anything, as extortion, uh, obligation, annoyance. It's a fucking gift. So, yeah, I'm scared to death of my family. It's like yeah, it's a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So, talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I went fishing at Sandusky River, a place that it's one of the first places I wasn't able to ever go fishing again. Fished there many times, had many good days there." I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, the fishing wasn't very good," and he told me a very interesting story about how he had to fish beside a giant dead carp, and this Asian guy came up beside him and was like, couldn't speak English, and was like, "Yours?" Pointing at the fish, and he goes, "No." He's like, "Take?" He goes, "No, no, no, it's dead. It's been there for like 24 hours. It's dead. I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it." Pantomiming this shit out. He goes, "Take?" He goes, "Look at it. Look." And he's poking it and stuff, trying to show him exactly how dead it is. And then he said he flipped it over, and there was all kind of like, when a fish that's heavy lays, it gets like a waffle pattern on the bottom of it if it was laying on a grate. But it's like a ground pattern where it just flattens out, probably from the initial rigor. And the guy said, "Still good," and took it. He told my friend that fished at the farm pond with. He was like, "That guy took that fish, man." He goes, "No." He goes, "You think he's gonna eat it?" So I was like, "Man, I would let him take the fish because I didn't like living by a dead fish. If somebody's dumb enough to eat a dead fish that they found on the ground, you're not gonna save them." They'll be picking up some roadkill on the way home, just as a side dish to go along with the 15-pound carp that my brother was fishing beside. So anyway, um, back to the camera. He was like, "I don't know why you'd want to see that. It'd be pretty boring." And I told him outright, exact words, "You're forgetting what it's like to be a shut-in, dude. I'm staring at walls all day. I would have loved to have seen that interaction between you and the Chinese guy. It would have been hilarious." So I would have probably rewatched it a couple of times. Maybe even asked him if I could post it since his face wouldn't be online. You know, it's like you're fighting a guy trying to convince him not to eat a rancid carp it's a carp. They're not exactly a great food fish anyway. But it's more the fact that it's been dead for an unknown. Have flies on it and stuff. Can't believe it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, thanks for thinking about it from my perspective. I just went fishing with the dude. He can see how racked up I am. He was even offering to, like, he took my friend's role and he was going to help me into the vehicle, which I don't need any help to get in the vehicle because I have a lot of upper body strength still. And, I just get my left leg up there and grab the handle and pull myself into the truck. and just throw myself into it. But yeah, I don't like to say that people only think of themselves when he does think of other people, but it's on always on his terms. He will do stuff for you, but it's always on his only on his terms. So it's not like he's completely selfish. I mean, he buys me very considerate things. This thing turned out to be a very handy thing. This stupid thing. You just, you put the sock around here and you slide your foot in there, and because I can't bend my knee, you pull this out. You got the sock on your foot. You're good to go. You just have to reach the bottom of the sock and pull it up. That's a very considerate, nice gift. That's somebody that's thinking about somebody else. But at the same time, he has trouble putting himself in my place, that I'm staring at a wall. I would like to see a place that I've had many good times at and just look at it. Just, oh, that's the Sandus. Oh, that's the place I used to catch fish. Oh, there's the bridge over there. There's that one island when the water gets low that, the people will wade through the waters and waders and stand on that island and fish from that island in the middle of the river. And just, I don't get that, you know. It's like, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. You can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. But I don't understand why he can't see that I might like that. Because he was a shut-in himself. Now, this thing with the sock thing, he probably got that from taking care of my mom when she had dementia and stuff. He knows all about that kind of stuff. About people having difficulty taking care of themselves. So maybe he was thinking of me like that. I don't know. But yeah, so that conversation was irritating. And I told him, like, if you don't want to use it, you just give it back to me and I'll use it. I said, it only costs $32, so I was figuring, like, you could take it with you and go fishing, and I could, like, be on a fishing trip with you and watch the video later. And he was like, I don't see why that would be interesting. That would be kind of boring. And, that could be an excuse. Like, I don't want to do anything like that because it's just bothersome. Or it could be that he can't put himself in my place, even though he was a shut-in for like a long time. And frankly, I helped him get out of that through great personal grief to myself. I'll tell you, if I had to do over again, I'd be a selfish bastard. You're much better off. Be a selfish bastard. Yeah, it's like, because the love you put out there, them songs that they say, you get what you deserve, and the love that you put out there, you're going to get back, man. That's if you're dealing with sane, rational, healthy, sensible people that believe in symbiotic relationships and that have empathy, or that are not like damaged from their youth. And that's what I put a lot of that off. It's like with my foster brother, why I put up with him for so long. It's because, like, okay, you lived with a severely abusive alcoholic that damaged you, ended up in prison, and left you in foster care. And your upgrade was my daddy, my sweet, sweet daddy. You know, so you got to eat every day. He got he was actually kind of mean to my mom at times, but um, at that point, I just, like, it's between them, and it's between them. I had done beat his ass so many times before that. It's like I just would shake my head, and it wasn't. I'm trying to think of when this particular incident happened, but he was trying to get out of some work, and he said some bad shit about my mom. Like, look what it did to you. Look what working did to you, because my mom was round-shouldered and hunchback thing going on. And it's like, wow, you're pointing out my mom's deformity uh, just to get out of doing a little work. He needed his ass beat. I don't know where my mind was at that time, but I used to beat his ass for nothing. But maybe I was too shocked that somebody would be like that. I mean, you're talking about a teenager, but even still, man, it's fucking brutal. That'd be like, having a parent with diabetes with their leg missing. And then, like, look what happened to your foot, man. and pointing out somebody's defects that they couldn't help. My mom was a sweet woman, but yeah, she ended up with osteoporosis, and she was always round shouldered, and it just got worse and worse as she got older, until her spine was like a question mark. And my older brother, had a little bit of that too. Uh, so I had like scoliosis. Mine went the opposite way, and then when they removed the tumor, I started to get my spine collapsed. So some kind of genetic thing. My older brother was mean as hell though. He was nice to us kids, but I mean, he was he was he was so mean that he convinced my older sister that she was ugly, and he didn't tell her you're ugly. Everybody in the neighborhood, and there was a lot of kids that were their age, because my older brother and my older sister were around the same age. But my older sister, let's put this politely, guys like big tits. We'll leave it at that. Okay, so she would be attractive to young males, where that would be a big deal too, and some older males, but it's not my thing, so I can't relate to it. But anyways, the point is, nobody wanted to risk it because that was my brother's sister. It's like, okay, there's a chance I can get in there, but there's also a chance that I could get broken legs and arms and shit put in the hospital. So, yeah. Let me rephrase that. There's a chance that I could get that, but it's a surety that I'm going to get the living fuck beat out of me. Let's weigh the risk reward here. No, I'll go with this other girl that has a sister and not a 6'1", 200-pound brother. That's about what size of my brother. Excuse me. So they live like really close to each other right now, but they don't even talk. They've never been close, and I think like the fact that my brother, I don't, he might have actively told guys like, don't fucking mess with my sister, because our family has a whole weird thing about sex going on in there, which is a longer story than I want to tell at this juncture of the morning, and not a story that I ever want to tell anyway. But anyways, the point is like he might have went around and did that shit on purpose, but he didn't really need to because he beat up everybody in the neighborhood. So, you know, he once threw a guy in the water. I copied him. My older brother. I like got mad at my foster brother and I threw him in a pond. And I told him I was going to do it. I chased him all over, and I'm like, I'm going to catch you sooner or later, man. And beat your ass. Stop running, and I'll just throw you in the water. So he's standing by the water, laughing about it. I just went up and pushed him as hard as I could into the water. Well, my brother actually picked the guy up and threw him in the water, named Kirk Bargo, the famous Kirk Bargo story. And he did it in front of a whole bunch of people. They were like, whoo, shit. Because there's a big difference between pushing somebody in the water and picking somebody up like this and just slamming them into, you know, off of a decline down about 8 feet into the water. A little bit of a difference in the things, but that's where I got the idea. Because my foster brother had pissed me off. I was getting annoyed chasing him in the woods, and I'm like, I'm going to catch you sooner or later and beat your ass. But I won't beat your ass if you. I'll just throw you in the water. So he didn't think I'd do it, but I did it. Yeah, my sister still resents him at the grand old age of 60 something, because when she was a teenager, she thought she was ugly and no guys liked her because they never approached her, which made her like the one that did the approaching. She had to do the work, which is, back then was an unusual thing. It was the guy's job to go around and ask the girl out. So nowadays, different. It's been different for a while, but this is like, well, you have to understand this is the Midwest, so we catch up with the rest of the country more slowly as far as values and um, intersexual behavior. Yeah, I'm in one of those flyover states, So you can subtract 10 years from whatever time frame we're talking about. Anyways, um, so yeah, my older brother was my older brother I got along with, but he turned into a severe alcoholic, and he was always an alcoholic as far as I know. He had the worst abuse. He was the first child, the oldest child in the family, so he had the worst abuse of anybody in the family, and not nobody escaped unscathed. But he was, yeah. My dad used to beat the shit out of him all the time, and then he used to beat the shit out of everybody else. And yeah, but I forget exactly where I was going with all that. It's all like interwoven in there somehow, but I lost the tapestry and the thread and the damn Afghan quilt all together. So we will just start over and go back to my younger brother and the camera thing, which is I'll just get the camera off from him if you don't want to do me that favor. Which I would like to see some of the places that I used to go all the time but don't get to go anymore. But you can't make people do things and you can't make them be nice. I don't understand that because if it's something like that, it's like I would do. Well, I have done a lot of things for him. Just loaded him up. This is how fucking stupid I am. It's like I loaded him up with food the last two times I saw him, which is the only two times I saw him because he never comes to see me. But when we went fishing the last two times, it's like I had a bunch of leftover food that I gave him like a huge amount the first time. Then I gave him a bag with various items in it, but all good stuff. And I'm giving him food, right? And he's the guy that won't help me out by spending money that he has to spend anyway, but using my EBT card to do it. Like, man, I am not a smart person. It's just habit. It's like I don't. There's no reason for me not to do that because, or to think of him and say like, he's poor. Why not help him out? I'm not like motherfucker wouldn't help me out. Screw him. Like a sensible person. I'm like, no, I got to be better than that. You don't win people over by having the moral high ground, and you do that like in the fight for social injustice. You don't do that in interpersonal relationships. It just doesn't work if you're dealing with crazy people. It just doesn't work. Um, yeah, I should ask him like, I don't know. I'm just not confrontational because it's just there's no point to it. It doesn't make any sense. And these are not dumb people. If you can't figure this shit out on your own, why in the hell would I need to point it out to you? And then if you point out something obvious to people that's true and that makes sense, the only thing they do is they get defensive and they get angry because that's all they got. They can be smart and they can say, you know what, you're right. I can see your point, blah, blah, blah. But that's not how it goes. So you end up with more hard feelings and more conflict and more nonsense. Especially with this other family member, which I'm scared to death of them because they're wanting to start fights over the stupidest shit ever. So if there was actually a confrontational type of deal, I don't want no part of that. As I was explaining to the aid worker the whole thing about emotional distress, um, intensifying the pain of CRPS. And it's like, I would rather, it's like, go ahead, let me say what I want and just listen to it. And here's how I'm going to pay for your silence. Just hit me right here, hard as you want. I don't give a fuck. Right here. Just don't hit my nose, please. I don't like getting hit in the nose. It makes my eyes water, and then there's all this blood to deal with and shit. But if you hit me right here as hard as you want, and just let me say my piece and just digest it and think about it for a couple of days. Don't come back at me. It's like, if I could have that kind of arrangement with this person, I would confront them over shit. But they're wanting to start fights over the stupidest shit imaginable. And they're just, you know, you don't win with crazy. It's just something you have to learn. And as far as like repaying, doing the biblical thing and repaying evil with good, I'm not sure that's all that smart either. But I didn't need that food, you know. I did like take a dig at my brother last night because I was like, he was complaining about having to spend a bunch of money at the store, and I was like, it probably wasn't a coincidence that he hung up like immediately after, because they'll also do that to you where like you're talking about something they don't like and suddenly they have to go. Meanwhile, when they were earlier, they had all the time in the world. So he'd be like, I gotta do this or I gotta go. They just get off the phone and run from you. So, anyways, I'm saying like, I got to make some money because he was like, I had to blow like $75 at the grocery store, and I didn't even want to go in the first place, but I had to buy this and I had to buy that, and I was like, yeah, I got to make some money because I sold like $360 in food stamps for 180 bucks, 50 cents on the dollar, and suddenly he had to go. But that was like a little dig, like you could have had that deal if you wasn't a dick. So yeah, I got a little vindictive streak in me, just a little. What are you gonna do? Can't. I don't know, man. It's it's really a can't win type of situation. Like I said, you don't win with crazy, irrational people. If somebody's like logic impaired, you're not gonna win with them. Or if they're like so wrapped up. I'm not sorry about the raspiness. They're so wrapped up in their own point of view that they can't switch it around and see it from your point of view. You know that you can't even like. It's like my father. My father was farsighted. All of his children were nearsighted. Right. It's the simplest thing in the world to flip that around. Farsighted, nearsighted. You see better up close. I see better far away. My dad said this about a million times. I don't know how you people can sit so damn close to the TV. Be like, move out of the way of the TV, because he'd be farsighted and back from far from the TV, and we were nearsighted, so we'd be up. You know, the old-fashioned small TVs, not these monsters. They have beautiful monsters they have nowadays. He's like, he didn't even like us sitting close to the TV, even if we weren't blocking the TV, because it annoyed him, and he couldn't see it from our point of view. That yeah, you see better far away, which is good because you drive us everywhere, and we see better up close. So it's like my brother couldn't flip that around and be like, oh, water might be more interesting than walls because you're a shut in and you look at walls all day and you like to fish, so you might like to actually look at the places I get to go all the time. So he went fishing at two different places um, just since Saturday. It's like, I don't know how hard that camera is to use. It's like, I even thought of like paying to use it, and that's really sad. Here, if you wear the camera, I'll pay you $10 every time you wear the camera. It's like, it's so stupid. $10 don't matter to me all that much right now. I wasted that much on a Hulu subscription. It's like just to watch some old Western I don't even like that my cousin recommended to me. That's the only place I could find this old Western named Laramie was on Hulu. And so that's 14.59 or 95, $15 down the drain. So yeah, no man. I, it's weird being alone in the world though. Like I called my cousin in Florida and he was drunk and he talks about the same shit all the time. Occasionally there's some new stuff in there and I enjoy talking to him, but if I have to hear some of his stories like one more time, I'm getting pretty good at like tuning them out. But it's not only do old people do that or older people do that, but drunk people, man, are notorious story repeaters. I had like my drunken brother-in-law confess to a murder he committed in Detroit to me in very serious tones, at least half a dozen times. It's a very good story, but yeah, And I had to say the same thing every time. It's like, look, the dude was shooting at you just because he was shooting all crazy, and you popped over the car and took aim like you're supposed to and hit him center mass with a military 45 and killed him. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's like what I always say to him every time he tells me the story. I don't talk to him anymore, and he'll never call me. We don't really have anything against each other or anything like that, but he just not a calling type of person. You know, it's so stupid. Like um, Canton and Massillon are like sister cities almost. They got the longest standing football of any kind rivalry in the United States between the Massillon Tigers and the Canton McKinley Bulldogs. Goes back over 100 years. So we're like so close to each other that it's half an hour drive tops with traffic from one city to the other city. And when I moved to this dreadful city, he was like, "Why'd you have to move so far away?" And I'm like, "You're in a fucking you drive. You're not walking. You're not hiking. Like this isn't. Didn't make no sense to me. But none of those people make any sense to me. So no surprise there. But yeah, if I haven't talked to him forever, but I told one of the last things I told him, I was like, look, I'd like to fix it with my sister, his wife. But I was like, that's not up to me. It's like I tried. It's like it's not up to me. She put out zero effort, and it's like I'm not sticking my neck out again. It was like one of the last conversations I had with him. And couples, long-standing married couples, they tend to be a package deal. It's almost like you can't have a relationship with just one and not have to deal with the other. So, you know, it's not his nature to just call and make conversation ever. So that was always my role. That's a big surprise, right? That it was my role to start talking and to carry conversations and shit and to call people and whatnot. So I talked to my cousin in Florida and called and talked to my brother. Uh, and yeah, steroid thing I have 3 pills left, so I don't even remember if I took my pill this morning. That's not good. But I'm able to keep track by how many's in the bottle. I got to take 2 today. Okay, I didn't take my pill yet. I'll take it later. There's 3 in the bottle. It didn't seem to do much for my knee. It may have done a little, but my knee was so bad that, yeah. But it hooked up my ankle like I thought it would, so. Uh, yeah, so I'm sure I digressed into like, I don't know, a 40-minute um, disjointed, tangential monologue about this, that, and the other. But I was going to tell you that, or I may have already told you, I don't remember, that I'm going to start like taking walks with my aid walker. I think I did. Aid walker. Well, she's going to be an aid walker, aid worker. Light in here has me looking very vampiric. It's like I should be. I don't have any fangs though. They pulled those. Um, but she said that she's like she don't even care if she gets fired. Like, so I don't care. Like, are you allowed to do that stuff? She's like, I don't care. Let them fire me. I'm like, okay. I'm not sure why you're doing your job then. But she was telling, I can't tell them. Damn it. Why would anybody do that though? But I don't. I'm around crazy people all the time, so I have to assume that there might be crazy people listening to me right now that might want to make trouble for innocent people. I don't know, but yeah, I'll save that one for another time. Well, it'll slip out. But anyway, she is willing to bend rules, so technically she's not supposed to be walking with me. But she could always say like, "Well, the dude took a walk while I was there. You know, wasn't my idea. whatever. So it's probably not even a thing worth worrying about. But she's supposed to be taking care of invalids, not taking care of people that are walking outside the house. But I will use it starting tomorrow as an excuse to walk on the road, because I'm not sure how good I am at getting up anymore. But I know I can get up. It's like the staying up that's the problem. Because the last time I was out walking around with just a cane, I fell down in some gravel during the early part of when COVID hit. And it was far away from anything. And I was like, my cane is all the way over there. If I can just make it to my cane, I can stagger over to them steps and regroup. And it was like touch and go to make it to the cane. Then once I got the cane, I was okay, but I was walking better then. But I was okay, and I was able to cane my way over, and I like fell forward and grabbed the railing on the steps to this dentist office, and sat on the steps, and watched the COVID traffic go by right around sunrise of, I would say, April or May of 2020, whenever, um, probably April, whenever Ohio was on lockdown. So, I weigh more now. I weigh about 20 pounds more, and, haven't taken any walks outside with just a cane. It's kind of pointless. Walkers just don't have the same effect. You're not going to learn how to. It's good for you, of course, to walk with a walker, but I don't, I don't want to go out there with a walker because it's a roller walker and that whole motion is not natural. You can kind of get a natural kind of a walk going with a cane, I believe. But a roller walker don't roll too good. As far as picking it up and moving it forward, that's not really walking. That's like step. But with a cane, eventually you can get some kind of rhythm going where you can use your forward momentum as you're walking. And I would like to try to, do that. Um, so there's that. And she works so fast that there's always time left over. She's grieving, so I give her a chance to talk if she wants to talk. I noticed that she is 68. I noticed that she's repeated the same stories, and I did it once to her, so it was fair. And I was like, we talked about this before because I remember you said the same thing as last time. She remembered too, and she was like, yeah. Then she would be telling me a story that she told me like 3 days ago. I try to like politely stop people from doing that because we only have so much time on this earth. And I always tell people like, you can't do it, unfortunately. But I always tell people like, if you heard me, I won't be offended at all. Just tell me like, oh yeah, you told me that before. Because some people will get offended, or some people like my brother are like a freight train rolling downhill. You you can't just like say I heard that before. You have to kind of like chop down a tree over the tracks to stop that train from rolling. My brother-in-law is the same way. I even made a comment uh, to my brother-in-law. Well, my sister was in the back seat and he was driving. He was going, and I was like, "Yeah, he told me that before." And he kept going. I turned around to my sister and I said, "It's like a freight train rolling down a hill. You can't stop it." She kind of smirk laughed, and that got my brother-in-law's attention. He's like, "What?" Because he likes trains. I think the fact that I said trains got his attention. He's a model railroader and has both fond and traumatic memories of hopping trains in his youth. I don't know how old he is, but he's old enough to remember Kennedy's assassination. So I think he was born sometime in the mid 50s, and he used to hop trains. He stole a car when he was 15 and drove all the way from Ohio to Florida and then got arrested and thrown in youth detention. And he had an Amish girlfriend, and he lived with the Amish for a while, and he contemplated becoming Amish. He had the perfect beard for it. It's like he always had his beard, and then he shaved it off, and my sister was like, "Grow that motherfucker back." She said, "I don't know if I would have married you if I knew what was lurking beneath that beard." Which really he just didn't have any hideous thing going on. He just had like a what they call a weak chin or something like that. I don't even remember what he looks like, but it was a big difference. I remember her saying that she told him. I think he told me that, and she told me that she was like, "Grow that motherfucker back." Like I never would have married you if I knew what was lurking underneath that beard. Because my sister, you know, damaged people tend to have well-developed sense of humor because it is a coping mechanism. So she was actually pretty funny. Um, just a little too crazy to deal with. Um, yeah, I guess everybody thinks their family's crazy, but not everybody has family that shoots at people instead of telling them, you know, why don't you go home? I just, I got things to do. Or making up some excuse to part company. No, you have a gun. You just shoot in their general direction. Don't take the hint. And I'm like, oh, I got some arrhythmia. That's not cool. Stop that. Fuck. Okay, that's cool. Back in rhythm. But yeah, that was. You gonna go out of rhythm again? I'm gonna have to stop this video. We'll be doing this shit. Whatever. I also have trouble remembering to take my blood thinners, which is kind of important because the blood thinner that I got is it wears off really fast, which is cool if you have to have, I don't know, minor surgery or go to the dentist or whatever. But it's not cool if you forget to take your medication because it pretty much wears off within 24 hours. And so some days I'm like, did I take them weird pills or not? They're like weird star shaped. There's a Ralto. They're like weird star shaped red pills. Yeah, I don't like starting out the day with arrhythmia. I wanted to repeat that story of my cousin shooting at his friend in order to tell him to go home, and he had to do it more than once. And not everybody has, you know, family that's quite that level of crazy, or people that throw people off of cliffs and whatnot. So there's levels to this shit. And as far as my aid worker, man, she told me the grossest story. I always knew that aid workers have a horrible job. I believe it's Cindy that was an aid worker. Um, I always knew it was horrible, but this woman's descriptive powers were not only impressive, she pantomimed the whole thing. And I was to the point where I was like, just no mas. Can't take it. I learned what aprons were. Didn't need to know that. She was taking care of a woman that had 3 aprons. Apparently, an apron is when someone is so fat that they have like a roll of skin that's like an apron that you have to pull up and wash underneath the apron. She said this woman weighed 600 pounds and had 3 aprons, and her tits were gigantic and hung all the way past her belly button. So she got up and was pantomiming how she had to take care of her and how she has to actually lift up one of her giant titties with one hand and wash underneath it with the other. She's pantomiming the whole thing, everything, and then how foul and nasty and how fungus and God, it's so horrible. Stench and all this stuff, and she's pantomiming it out. Like, wow. I was like, oh, just please stop. I was trying to cut her off and stuff, and then I was like, um, she also described how she helps her get on and off the toilet, how she has a whole system. She's like that big, where she takes a heavy bath towel and she has like an iron railing type bar next to the toilet, and she wraps the towel around the iron bar and she grabs it. I don't know how the fuck she goes to the bathroom like when the aid worker's not there, It's not a question I asked because I just wanted the story to be over, as you soon will want to too if you don't already. But the big woman hangs on to this towel while she's sitting on the toilet after doing her business, and she says 1, 2, 3, and then she pulls herself, her 600 pounds, with the two, while my aid worker is pushing her from the back, and she's like demonstrating it, like I said, in full pantomime, with physical demonstrations, how she has to grab the top of her, push the, the whatever part of her, I don't remember what part, I'm trying to block it out, and push her forward, and then between the two of them, they can get her off of the toilet. And she understood that nobody in that, they give her all the dirty jobs because she actually works, but she's 68 years old. So she's like, nobody wants this woman for obvious reasons. You know, she's a danger to herself and you. There's nothing you can do to stop 600 pounds from falling, even if you're a big dude. So she's like, man, she sits in her shower chair, in the shower chair. I know it's going to collapse one day. And it's like, my worries is like, if she falls out of the shower, man, there's nothing I can do for her. And, you know, she's worried all the time. And she's like, I've had back surgery before too. And I hurt my back like so bad taking care of her that I had to put like icy block or whatever that Shaquille O'Neal stuff is that he sells to go to sleep. It hurt so bad, and she didn't want to tell him, so she did it in front of me. I don't know, I lent whatever moral support I could, but she was like, dropped the hammer on the big woman more or less, and was like, I can't do it anymore, talking to her supervisor, and I could hear her supervisor and everything. And she goes, if we could get a second person in there to help, you know, this woman weighs 600 pounds. It's like, get a second person in there to help me. And she's like, nah, insurance won't cover a second person. No. And she's like, well, then I can't do it anymore. And then she said the words that needed to be said, which she needs to be put into a nursing home. Woman's 52. She's 52, weighs 600 pounds, can't get off the toilet by herself. She must be able to because the aid worker's not there 24/7. No, it's at. She probably never gets off the toilet herself because um, she's at that Bender Woods place that I wanted to live in, and they have on staff people. It's set up for like assisted living type situations. So I wanted to live there because there was nobody living above, and there's single story bungalows, and they're also rent subsidized. So I was thinking I could live there real cheap, but she'd have to. Anyways, so you know, naturally, when you hear about something like that, you want to know how much somebody like that eats. Well, I didn't make it through breakfast. I lost track in the second act of the movie that is her breakfast. She was describing the food that this woman once prepared for. I'm like I said, I didn't make. I was like, say no more, you know. And then it didn't work. She was like, those cherry pies, like the one you got in the refrigerator. She'll eat three of them in a row like they're cupcakes. So I'm like, so we're not talking about a thyroidal problem, huh? This is like years of pounding down ridiculous amounts of food. It's like her breakfast is more food than I eat in 2 days. Just her breakfast. It might be more food than I eat in 3 days. So that's one of the people that ate themselves into that situation. But yeah, to have to go to nursing home type of care just because you can't stop eating. I wonder if there's like some kind of like thyroid for your metabolism. There's some kind of hormone. There's got to be like some kind of. They got medicine for everything, right? They got medicines to make your dick hard. Why can't they have medicines that like speed up your metabolism? Like whatever your thyroid produces, your thyroid controls your metabolic rate. Why aren't they shooting her up with that shit? Maybe doing some aversion therapy. Maybe getting a dietitian for her. Maybe like not enabling her and allowing her to eat, you know, elephantine sized meals. I don't know. I got no sympathy for that kind of thing any more than I have sympathy for people that yeah, healthy people in general. I Yeah, I hate healthy people in general. So if I ever see like a healthy person abusing themselves in any way, like eating way too much, drinking way too much, it's like indulging in like um, self-destructive behaviors, and it's like, man, you're a waste of a good healthy body. So I don't really have no sympathy for her. What also makes me mad is like watching them skateboarder type dudes or anybody doing like dangerous, pointless shit. Like when they rail skate, where they hop up on a skateboard and slide down a railing. It's like, dude, you got a healthy body. That's like the most valuable commodity in the world, and you're gonna fucking risk it so you can look cool sliding down a railing. It's like you could go and crack your head and be a moron for the rest of your life. This one guy just flopped his Harley in the driveway across from my brother's house and cracked his head on the cement, and he's never been the same. And it's like you're going out of your way on concrete around stone steps, like risking an injury that you will be feeling until the day you die. You die, actually risking your life. And you see all those fail videos where people are like trying to do flips and shit, and they land on their head and almost break their neck. Yeah, I hate those people. Yeah, very unnecessary. That is when they say, you know, those trite sayings like your health is the most valuable thing, and you don't miss that water until the well runs dry. So, you know, don't be like sloshing it around when you're drinking out in the desert. I'm in the desert right now, man. Getting little sips of water, little sips of hope. Like I can see my ankle bones now, or I can see one of my ankle bones, the one on the outside. And I was putting in a report to my friend on the phone, text wise, and I was telling him like how the steroid thing was going, and then I said, well, I didn't tell you that, but I met the neighbor guy upstairs, and he's pretty cool, and he's been very quiet and a joy as a neighbor so far. Um, it's been like a month and a half, so you know I'll give it about 3 months. He's a young dude, so he could get hooked up with a Hellcat, flip this place upside down. But I shook his hands, man. His hands are like hard as a rock. So I was like, man, that's a working man's hands. He goes, yeah, I got some pretty hard hands on me. And I talked to him, and he's seemed very sober. He said something about like, all I do is smoke weed. I'm like, yeah, I used to do that. And I said, you don't got to worry though. I won't be mooching off you because I had to quit. And I told him, you know, my story about being in an ambulance and having a 203 pulse rate. When I say you wake up high, you kind of wake up to the fact you're doing something negative to yourself when you are high as fuck in an ambulance twice, and you laugh. My heart's not cooperating with me this morning. So I was naming off. I was like, my steroid seems to be working on my ankle. I met my neighbor. My neighbor's cool, and there was one other thing in there, and I was like, well, that's three good things. Oh, I mentioned how the VPA is going with. I got new doctors, got a new neighbor I like, and I can see my ankle bone this morning. So that's three good things because nobody likes negative people around all the time, even if they have a right to bitch. Nobody likes to just listen to bitching, and it gets old. So I try to interspace my bitching or my bitch fest with humorous stories, uh, feels type stuff, like talking about my emotions and whatnot. I'm on the clock here, and trying to be cheerful. Doesn't cost anything to try to be cheerful. I'm gonna get her to tack up a sheet there. It's not working. Do I have anything there? I got some spoons wrapped up in paper towels. Oh, those aren't even on camera. I didn't have to point them out. Do I have anything embarrassing on camera now? Oh, you can tell me later. I don't know. I got these. These are funny. And when I got these, they were like way too big for me. And now I can't get them closed. Very sad. But I don't know if you can see these. These have it's old time pinup girls and riding Fender Stratocasters, so to speak. Trying to see if I can find a really suggestive one. Okay, here's this one. I think if that one shows up, I can't find my glasses anywhere. Let's see. Yeah, that one. That one has a certain tranny look to it. It's on this side too. Beats it so. Where the neck looks like something else. Yeah, I thought those were cool and I got them for cheap, but they were like, I was like, well, these are, what size are these? This is fascinating. Must see TV. Extra large. They're extra large, and they're hard for me to close now over my stomach. That's not good where my glasses go. There they are. See what the hell kind of presentation I got going here, as if that's important. I accidentally turned on the light. That's why I was getting glare. Brilliant. That's how bright it is out that this is. I had the light on and it didn't really make much difference. Come here. I'm going to stop wasting your time with this. Get back to my distracting form of patter. Yeah, so my stomach is basically like, yeah, seems to be where I carry most of my weight. I got a big old stomach. Oh man, come on, man. This video has degenerated quickly. And it was degenerate from the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, I had to restrain myself from and be nice online. I'm about to get phased out by the sun. I'll definitely have her tack up a sheet tomorrow, so this don't happen anymore. Because that's the only time I really like to talk is on here is in the mornings, because that's when my brain works the best. That works, but now you see more. Yeah, now I'm over here, and this is over there. There, maybe I can have something for the fellas and some of the ladies to look at. I don't know. It didn't work. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So I suppose like I should try to work my upper body. I'm laying here with arrhythmia and shit. It's like everything's playing chicken. Walking's playing chicken with falling and get my heart rate up too high and then flipping into arrhythmia. Lifting weight, same thing. Still haven't learned how to set my watch. But it's actually worth it. I only paid $22 for it. I got a killer deal on this smartwatch. But it's worth it just to keep track of my pulse. If my pulse gets too crazy, which I usually can feel when it gets too crazy anyway. Yeah, this ain't no way for anybody to live. But I figure this is better than watching the baseball game. I can make something that somebody can maybe get some amusement out of. It's better than watching the baseball game and listening to Cormac McCarthy confuse me in this horrible book about scalp hunters called Blood Meridian, which is supposed to be his masterwork. But you can try to like something because it's supposed to be good. But he's the guy that wrote No Country for Old Men. That everybody knows the movie, but it's a pretty good book. It's a lot shorter than this book, but this book is just so unrelentingly unpleasant, and the prose itself is kind of hard to. It's not easily accessible. It's more like a bunch of imagery thrown at you, and you really don't get inside any one character to see their point of view. It's like you're an outsider watching these people ravage um, parts of Texas before they were parts of Texas. I learned something from the book, which is the term filibuster nowadays means what I'm doing now, filibustering. I'm taking up time by blathering, but you know, Congress. It's a term usually reserved for Congress. But filibustering originally came from the idea of a government sort of half sanctioning people crossing the border into another country and weakening local authority and whatnot in order to slide that border along in order to cause a certain amount of unrest. And their excuse was they were protecting the locals from the Indians, but really they were just going around slaughtering Comanches. So it's very like gory and grim, and nothing good ever happens in it and stuff. And I'm about 7 hours into a 20-hour book. I might finish it. It's just really hard to follow. You know, the guy is just a different kind of writer. But that's what I was doing as I was watching the baseball game and trying to follow this book at the same time. I was like, maybe I can talk. Seems to be more useful than trying to decipher this book, which, frankly, in print, maybe I could understand it. But I'm like, I listened to this one scene twice where this guy had this anecdote he was telling. It's not really a scene, it's just a guy sitting there telling a story. I did not understand the story or see the point of the story or what it was about. It's a story within a story. And I'm like, okay, I gave that 2 shots. So, really, if it wasn't considered such a great work of fiction, I'd be out of there. So, I listen to it before I go to sleep. And I'll unplug the computer so the battery dies, so I'm not listening to people being scalped and shot in the head and generally tortured all night. It's not good for your dreams. And I got to definitely do something about that if I'm going to do these videos in the morning. So I guess my mood is okay. I never called the orthopedist back. I figure, what's the point? Haven't heard from the VPA lately. Um, Gonna survive the steroid thing. I bought antacids, both generic Mylanta and Tums, so I never get in a situation again where I have a bad stomach and have to clog myself up with Pepto Bismol. I don't actually see that scenario playing out ever again, but yeah, it's just like I need to keep this medicine inside my body. I fought hard to get this medicine. It doesn't want to stay in there, so you know, my body wants a refund. So I'm taking this stuff to keep it from going out one end, which is keeping other stuff from going out the other end and making me miserable. So yeah, great. This has been sort of like the Cormac McCarthy book, a whole lot of unpleasantness. And now it's all foggy and shit in my room somehow. I didn't know it was going to be foggy this morning. Um, what else do I got going on? Nothing really. Uh, yeah, mm, yeah, nothing. I can always manufacture some sort of pattern, and but I think that's pretty good. I mean, I just wanted to check in a little bit, anyways, and give you a little bit of my time, which I have a lot of it. I want to watch like water rolling by that I have fished before from the comfort of my house because I cannot walk down a hill strewn with stones. Very dangerous. as far as like dealing with family and dealing with relationships and people that don't give you love back when you love them, or like don't you help them out but they don't help you out, I don't know what to tell anybody about that kind of stuff. It's like I didn't even think about that until yesterday, that I was giving my brother food when he wouldn't even uh, help me out by turning spending money he has to spend anyway on food. And here I am just giving him food. It's like I don't know. I got like rules and standards and shit. It's like I will not bring that shit up because that will demean me. Uh, Not to him. I will bring it up to you all day, but I won't bring that up to him and be like, "Look, man, I'm doing this for you, and you couldn't do this for me. What do you think about that?" It's like I would never do that because that's um, diminishing the power of a thing by speaking of it. It's like if you're doing stuff like that in order to get credit for doing stuff like that, or to use it for leverage in a relationship, then it's really not done out of a good place, if you know what I'm saying. So you can remember it and you can feel resentful over it, but you don't go to the person like, look, I helped you out when you had nothing. Look, I gave you $400 and let you keep it and just gave it to you as a gift, and you won't even help me out by spending money that you have to spend anyway. You know, it's like, sure, I'm going to think those things, but it would make me less of a person if I confronted him with the reality of who he is and like lorded that over him. But you're still going to have those thoughts because, you don't know, you think about those things, you remember events and you relate them, and you see correlations, and you also see things that do not match. And that's a lot of times what do not match is the love you give does not match the love you get back. And you just can't understand it. And there's no understanding it. It's like I had that conversation with the aid worker, and I was like, you just have to leave crazy alone because you got a crazy brother, the one that's a millionaire. She's like, I'm not looking forward to that, sitting at the table. And they have to like divvy up what's left of her mother's assets, because I don't think she had like a, a working will. Well, apparently not if they have to worry about, divvying up the assets. But yeah, according to her, her brother is so twisted that she knew that there were two gold coins in this safety deposit box, and he told her there was only one and pocketed one for himself. She's working as an aid worker, scrubbing 600-pound titties. He's a millionaire pipe fitter, which I guess pipe fitter is a big deal. It's like different. It's not a plumber. It's not unclogging drains. It's like building the waterworks systems for houses. And he's like a millionaire from doing it. Both her and her other brother are very well off. And here she is worrying about sending somebody to a nursing home that eats 15 pounds of food every day. It's like, yeah. I just kept telling her, man. She felt bad about it. She knew what she was doing, but she felt bad about it. I'm like, you got to think about the other people that you're not going to be able to help if she injures you, like me. It's like you won't be able to help me, or you won't be able to help anybody else that's on your rotation. If that one person falls and you get hurt, you already almost got hurt and wasn't able to show up here today because she messed up your back because she weighs 600 pounds and you had to help her off of the toilet. She was that's how I hurt my back, was helping her off the toilet. So she even like, some people have an overdeveloped conscience or overdeveloped sense of responsibility. And it's like, man, you did not put that food in that woman's mouth and make, and turn her into a wall person, a cart man. Cartman, where you have to cut out the wall to get her out of the house. You did not do that to her. You're not responsible for her. So, and plus, if she falls, she's going to get hurt and you're going to get hurt. And then you're not going to be able to help anybody else. So I think I did a good thing. And she made the call in front of me and stuff, and I talked to her beforehand, and she was dreading it, and she's like, I don't know how they're going to act, and I don't want to do it. You know, it made me feel good. It always makes me feel good if I can help people see through the bullshit that they put themselves through unnecessarily, or help people in general. Like I said, it's better off to be a selfish bastard, but you are what you are. And stuff like that is like nothing. I mean, it's a simple thing to do. I am not like giving you a kidney. You know, if the roles were reversed and I had to, like, my brother was the shut in and I was the guy that got to go fishing, I wouldn't even give it a thought. It's like, yeah, I'll wear a camera. And I'll wear a camera and I'll talk to you while I'm fishing, interact with you. You know, you could talk to the camera and be like, hey, bro, man, I almost had one there. I think I had a bite. And like, yeah, this guy over here, he's a real dick, man. And you whisper into the microphone on the camera. He said, you won't believe this dick over here, man. He crossed my line like 4 times. I wish I could pick him up and throw him in the water like my older brother used to. Like our older brother used to. I wouldn't give that a second thought because, you know, it's like, what exactly energy am I expending by sitting there and being supportive and being nice to somebody that has to do something unpleasant, at least unpleasant to them, that they don't want to do, and like, you know, supporting them a little bit and saying like, yeah, you did what you had to do. You know, you shouldn't feel bad about it. It's like she's going to end up hurting you along with herself if she doesn't get somebody. And it's like, I never bring up that she's 68 years old, but I brought up, I was like, you probably weigh, yeah, I didn't bring up her weight either, but I was like, you're not big enough to handle somebody like that. So yeah, weight and ages. Don't talk to women about weight and ages. It's like, I can't even talk about my own age to women because if they're like around that age, they're like calling me old, and I'm like, no, I'm calling me old. Believe me, I'm old. So, I know. I wake up with me every day, and I'm like, who is this old fucker in the mirror? Oh yeah. But now doing something where you're like going out of your way to help people, or like taking them to an appointment and or listening to them bitch, or like say if she like had a breakdown, which she hasn't yet, and was like crying and stuff, and I had to do a patting thing and be like, you know, I'm sorry, and like get all in my feelings and whatnot. Doing that, I would do that, but I don't want to do that. But just like reasoning things out and talking to somebody that's still got a hold of their emotions, no big deal. Or like, you know, another thing that would be a big deal is like taking somebody to a doctor's appointment that they're stressed over, and you're just sitting there like a dick in the waiting room, wasting your precious time for like 2 hours just so you can be supportive to somebody else. Now, one time my friend offered to do that, and I was like, you don't have to do this. And he was like, no. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He was like, I'm going to that appointment with you. I'm like, you don't understand. I know it's cold out, but I got that electric bike, and it's right down the road. It's not far away. It's not a big deal. And he's like, I would like to take you to your appointment. And I'm like, okay. It's better than me riding a bicycle in 35 to 40 degree weather. It's not a big deal. It's like right down the road. The appointment won't take that long. I've done it a million times. This is what I'm saying to myself. But if you want to do it, you know, and it was easier, and it is nice to have somebody there with you for moral support when you go to the doctor. Not used to it, so it was kind of a luxury. But that's something that's, you know, you're going out of your way. You're waking up, getting in your car, driving. But if you're just clipping something onto your pocket, or if you're just talking and it's helping somebody out, why wouldn't you do it? don't know. Some people can't even like avoid being a dick in a situation, let alone just do the simple thing of acting like a decent human being and being supportive. And it's not even like I had to lie. It's great when you don't have to lie. Sometimes you have to choose your words very carefully in a situation where you want to be like emotionally supportive with somebody, because it's like you don't want to say like you're looking at this all wrong and you're fucked up in the head. So you try to be like, it's like with my brother when my mom died. It's like you're thinking about this all wrong. Is what I'm thinking in my head. It's like, yeah, but instead you listen, you absorb the tears, let them use you for a hanky if it's something like that. And if it's your brother and you don't, you know, you, you don't really want to fall back on cliches and stuff, but yeah, I wish my mom would have died like 3 years earlier. It's like, it's good. It relieves you of the burden of her, and it relieves her out of her flesh prison, and she's no longer suffering. It's a win win. It's like, I know it gave you a sense of purpose and whatever to take care of her, and I know, that she was a part of your everyday life, unlike me and all, but if you look at it from the outside, but you can't say shit like that, so you have to be creative if you want to be supportive in a situation like that. And it's tricky waters to navigate at times. But one of the benefits of coming from a crazy family is you get to be a master and commander at navigating those tricky seas of human conceit and confusion because you have been born into those rough waters, looking for islands of sanity, islands in the stream. I don't even know. That's a song or something, a Kenny Rogers song, I think. I don't know. But yeah, and people are usually startled by my rationality, and it's like, no, it's like the rationality comes from the fact that I've been around crazy so much that I know that's like that is thinking. It don't make no fucking sense. It's like, why are you feeling guilty over somebody that is going to kill you with their weight and that you feed 15 pounds of food a day? It's like, yeah, she would probably actually complain to the aid agency that she wasn't getting taken care of right if she was like, why don't we you have some grapefruit and some salad? No, I want home fries. That breakfast, man. Bacon, sausage, home fries, pancakes. It's like, you don't have to eat every breakfast food for breakfast every morning. It's like she has a list or something like that. I was like I said, man, by the second act of that movie, man, I was already bored. The second that wasn't a breakfast, that was a movie, and it was crazy. It's like, yeah, it takes a lot of practice to be able to eat that much. Anyways, I'm gonna go. My stomach is yeah, it's feeling right now like somebody has uh hooked up a bicycle pump to my belly button and is blowing it up for some reason. I don't know. I have to start moving around more whether I like it or not. That's another thing about habit is like I've settled into this rut where well, when moving gets to be a certain amount of painful, you don't want to do it. Same way that I don't want to sit here and stab myself with a fillet knife in the arm over and over again. Even if it's good for me, I don't want to do it. So it's not going to be fun walking with the aid worker tomorrow. You know, it's also, like I said, a tightrope walk with the heart thing all the time. And I can, I don't know what this new shortness of breath thing is about, if it has to do with my girth, if it has to do with the overabundance of norepinephrine in my system due to my autonomic disease. I don't know what it's about. I know it's weird and I don't like it. But I should pick up those weights, even though I don't get any satisfaction from it anymore because I can't do it right. But just to burn some calories. I mean, I don't eat much. I didn't even eat my morning banana to go with my yogurt. My breakfast does not consist of giant plates of food. It consists of 2 yogurts and a banana. Um, but if you don't move around, your metabolism is going to slow down, and it's really not going to matter what you eat, because if you're not burning any calories, whatever calories you take in, going to hang on to you. You're going to hang on to them in the form of adipose tissue. So there you go. Well, so I have no proper ending for you, as always. You know, no smooth segues into silence. Uh, I always try to do the best I can as far as stringing words together, and as far as being cheerful. I did have one other thing I wanted to cover. There is a disease where people respond to stress, uncomfortable situations that make them laugh, which is the basis of the movie Joker. Is the Joker guy has that disease, right? So I wonder if I have the Joker disease. It's like the way I respond to everything, because of the CRPS, I don't have access to a full expression of a full range of emotions. Is why I'm cheerful, or while I'll talk about horrible things and laugh about it. Like last video, I said, man, I had a hell night, man. I had like 4 hours of doing this, and I had stomach acid eating my throat and everything, man. It was all fucked up. And laughing about it. Maybe I'm the Joker. Maybe I have that disease, whatever that's called. Um, the Joker character is based on an old movie called The Man Who Laughs. I'll put a link. You can check it out if you want to. What that disease is, or more likely, I guess disease is a disease, but the psychiatric malady, it's a psychiatric malady, or it's a response to, it's a way of well, every psychiatric malady is actually, or neurosis is actually a response to um, a miserable life, generally speaking. I mean, there are certain, what do you call it, organic causes, brain chemical imbalances and stuff that happen that have nothing to do with the life you've lived and whatnot. But I would say most people that have anxiety, stress, generalized anxiety, um, or stressed out people have overdeveloped conscience syndrome, a disease I just made up, or the laughing man sickness. It all comes from the outside, rather than a chemical imbalance from inside. But I believe that there are people that are just like people are born with spina bifida or something horrible like that. There are people that are born with a predisposition toward mental illness. Um, I suppose I could research the matter, but I don't believe doctors and researchers necessarily anyway. It's that damn eggs thing all over again. If I hadn't lived for 53 years hearing alternately every few years that eggs were good for you, eggs are bad for you, eggs have too much cholesterol, eggs are high in protein, just let me know if I could eat a damn egg. I like eggs. Just let me know if it's good or it's bad. I'm going to eat them anyway. But just, pick a story and stick to it. So that's science, though. That's the way science works, and that's why science is a good system, is because it acknowledges its mistakes. But yeah, that whole egg thing would drive me crazy. Where they would tell you that eggs were good, and then they would tell you that eggs were bad, and they would go back to being good. And then you were only supposed to eat the whites, so people would be eating egg whites because the cholesterol is actually in the yolk. And then you realize, you know what, the yolk is really where the flavor comes from. And since there are so many things that are good to eat and good to experience that are bad for you, then you start to believe it. The yolks are bad, but then they're like, no, 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 the yolks won't kill you. So as far as me looking up mental illnesses, I don't really, yeah, I don't really like research that stuff that heavy. I kind of view like the whole psychiatry profession as a bunch of witch doctors anyway. I don't really believe in it. I believe it's good to like have to talk out and to express your emotions rather than repress them. That's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Sunshine and all. I should have a hat handy. Make a hat bill. But at the same time, I honestly don't think they know all that much. They just like throw drugs into people. They really don't know all that much what to do about, people's psychological problems because they are accrued over years, and your psychological framework is formed from the ages of like 1 to 6. I mean, the baseline of who you are is formed from a very early age, and then stuff happens. It's sort of like what they say about like can't teach an old dog new tricks. Is no, it's like that dog was formed when it was a puppy, and it is a beagle, and it's gonna be a beagle. And for it to go against its programming from early on, that's an uphill fight. It can be done, but it takes a long time. So I believe like in trying to make behavioral changes to try to change the chemical makeup of your noodle. But as far as like psychiatry, you seen the video of the woman I was talking to. It's like that woman didn't have a goddamn clue. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to in the psychiatric profession where I'm like, this person doesn't know shit. Like they got no idea what they're talking about. Then I'll talk to some people that will just sit there and agree with me, like I'm the guy that knows what's up. Then I'll talk to another person in the psychiatric profession, and they'll be like, "No, no, you got it all wrong." And it's like I don't know what textbooks you guys are reading from, but they appear to be different ones. So yeah, I'm never like, nah. My older sister was always into that, and I'm like, I don't even believe in that whole thing. It's like that whole analyzing yourself or trying to figure yourself out and all that. It's like, man, just do something positive. You know, pick up some weights, walk outside with your aid worker, call your friends, write positive text to people, try to do things. Those two poles that I talked about in another video, where you're always heading toward life, or you're always heading toward death. Thanatos, death, life, Eros, head toward head toward the light. Carol Ann, just do stuff that's positive and that's don't sit around brooding. If you can do something, anything, do it. Uh, Even if it's blathering on in an egomaniacal fashion for 2 hours or however long this is. It's something, you know. Uh, yeah, so that's just kind of my philosophy. And believe me, I might have the laughing man sickness, and I might be another Joker character, but I have a lot to deal with, and this works. I am still here. I am still alive. I know enough to keep a gun out of the house, but all the problems I have, everything that's gone wrong in the last few years and stuff, I'm still here. You're still able to listen to me if you stay with me this long, and I'm still decent enough that I will like sit there and listen to somebody talking about washing 600-pound boobs and just want to vomit because I didn't know people could grow mushrooms on their body, but I guess it's a possibility. Uh, and you know, so there's still enough of me intact that I can be a decent person and stuff. So I think my philosophy works fairly well. I mean, I'm surviving. I'm here. I should look that up. I should ask. Like maybe I'll do that on camera. And I found out what the name of that disease is that the Joker's supposed to have, and I'll be like, I think I got that disease. It's like I laugh at everything, man. It's like I was actually swallowing my own vomit the other day and like laughing about it later. It's like that's the least funny thing I can think of. It's just disgusting. It's gross. It's horribly painful. And I'm sitting there laughing about it, man. Can't say that shit. You have to have bland, stupid conversations with these psychiatric people now. Now that I know that they actually have the power to bypass a judge and just send a cop into my house and battering around my door down and raid me like I am a meth cookhouse. It's like now that I know that they have the power to that, no, I'm not going to have any interesting conversations with any psychiatric people anymore. It's all going to be boring. I'm all going to be like, well, you know what? Some positive things are happening. I clipped my own toenails. I'll leave out the part where, because of bending my foot up so high, I actually made my toe bleed last night. But it's like, I fucked up again and I'm bleeding because I have to put so much pressure doing that. And I was busy talking to my aide worker rather than making her clip my toenails. It's like I have to like manufacture positive things to say, and it's like maybe I wouldn't have to be the Joker and laughing all the time about horrific shit if I could tell you stuff and not have to worry about cops raiding my goddamn house and tearing it apart looking for drugs and contraband like I'm fucking Edie Amin. I couldn't think of the Pablo Escobar guy. I thought of him now. But yeah, once I found that out, that just flipped my head all upside down. It's like, seriously? I have never been convicted of any crime, and a felon who has been convicted of actually having drugs or firearms but has served his time in prison has more rights than me. This is fair. Anyways, clearly I'm awake now and I'm ready to eat my banana. And if you remember, this is kind of like a callback to the beginning because I look like a monkey and I eat bananas like 1, 2. That's the end.